Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shijun Wang. In today's video, I am going to talk about the Schubert Impromptu number 9, Opus 90, number 4. But before I start, I have some very exciting news to share with you. For many of you who have seen my videos over the past 2 years, that I never stop uploading for longer than a month. So from last time when I uploaded my previous video in I think early February, I was quite busy performing in different places, and also I had interview with a university, and I got a offer and I accepted the offer. So my whole family will be moving to Texas, and starting from next semester in August, I will be teaching as an assistant professor at Baylor University in Waco. Um, I know when I share the news with many friends, they will be like, "Oh, now you should ask Joanna and Chips to fix your house or something." Well, we're still working on, it's quite overwhelming. We're still working on finding details and bidding for a house, and then that's a whole different profession nowadays to buy a house. But we're really excited about the new opportunities. Baylor is a great school and it has a graduate program. So I will be able to accept master level students. So I really look forward for that. And also at Weber here, which is also a very good school, we are a Department of Performing Art, but in the new job, it's a school of music. So it's a whole college only with music going on. So it's a much bigger in the size of the school, and they got great facilities, great colleagues and students. So for those of you who are interested in studying with me, I encourage you to look at the school website and try. I mean, this year is too late. The deadline is February 1st, but I really encourage you, if you're a high school student or if you're like sophomore or junior in your college, consider Baylor for your next step. Okay, so Schubert, the new series, I will be covering the entire Opus 90. There are four of them. Impromptus, it gives us a feeling that it's almost like improvisation. It's something he composed over a whim. Really, it's not. The form is so classical. It's most of the impromptus are in the ABA form, in the ternary form, and then the B section is very very contrasting with the A sections. Yeah. So for this one, it starts rather peaceful, but then in the middle section, yeah, it's almost like storms coming, or something really worrying, really scary that is coming. It's quite opposite with the opening. The tempo Schubert marked Allegretto. And I really had a lot to share with you regarding to this tempo. There was my last year studying at Juilliard. Alfred Brendel just retired, and he started to tour some music schools in the States to give master classes. And he only picked like 3 people, but he picked the repertoire instead of the person because he doesn't know anybody. So I put my repertoire list Opus 90, and he picked it. So I was really fortunate to have a master class with him. And when I played this, I started with a super fast tempo. And he stopped me immediately. He said, "Oh, the tempo you're playing is almost like a presto, but here is Allegretto." And he told me something that I still benefit today, and that my students knows that I'm very, very strongly about this tempo markings. He told me that this Allegro is not just a tempo marking. It's a marking of the mood. It's a marking of atmosphere. So presto is something, of course, you're very hurried, but allegretto is more graceful. Yeah, allegro means happy, light-hearted, and happy and fast, and allegretto is more graceful. So it's a tiny bit slower. And he also mentioned it's like drizzle, like very little rain in London. I guess because he lives in London, that he had that image. So don't start too fast. Yeah, and the harmonic pattern is super easy. Yeah, A flat minor to dominant, A flat minor to dominant. Right? There's only a couple of two chords in the entire first line. However, for those of you who've played this, we all know this is super difficult. Just to keep it even. I hear so many students play that like that, or yeah. So first of all, we have to always keep in mind, even has many levels. The sound, the volume needs to be even, right? You can't play one note louder than the rest. The rhythm has to be even. You can't play any note later or earlier than the rest. And also the articulation has to be even. You can't play one of the notes shorter or you stay that longer compared to the rest. So in order to do all that, and soon we realize it's that repeated notes that is difficult. Because all others, you're pretty much, you put all of your fingers upon the keyboard already, right? But then you cannot prepare the second repeated note already on the keyboard. You have to really change it much quicker so that before you play, you have it already, your fingers on the keyboard. So although the whole thing seems very peaceful, it's quite comfortable sounding, but you're very busy. You're very busy with your hands because you have to move extra fast to get it even. Yeah, it's almost like duck syndrome. Yeah, in order to appear peacefully floating on top of a pond or like any water in the park, the feet has to be very busy moving to keep the balance, right? But it appears that ducks are very calm. Yeah, so it's the same thing here. Also for left hand, if you notice, Schubert really tries his best to avoid accenting the downbeat. Why is that? There is no downbeat note that has accent, but most of the downbeat notes are either staccato or it's a tied note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the first note, instead of a loud or a downbeat, it's a pick up. Boom. So you play in the way that you're already lifting your arm, and in the way you play this, right? You don't play down, but you play up. And this is something you play down, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then up again. So if we analyze this into 2-bar phrases, it's a giant syncopation. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so to play hands together, it should sound like. and of course, the way I play is not entirely even. I have to spend more time if I want to perform this. I learned this about 10 years ago. The other thing that I often see students do is that since Schubert put such a obvious two-note grouping, or two measures grouping, a lot of students would stop at the end of the second measure and then restart. And then here, restart. So if you hear the first 20 measures, there will be 10 stops, right? Because 2 measures per stop. Then how do we eliminate that stop? We have to always consider playing piano, either it's the technical aspect or the musical aspect, it's a circulation. It's a circulation of movements. It's a circulation of musical lines, of musical phrases. So the last note is also the beginning of the next phrase. It's the beginning of the next first note. So instead of just drop everything, we should. That's why the ending also is a scattissimo. And what really also is interesting is that the harmonic progression is very slow. Right? Like I said, the first 2 measures are just only 2 chords. But then there's changes of minor and major chords. Yeah, this is the A flat minor. And then C flat major. And then B minor. Yeah, so every key, either it's major or minor, has its own personality, has its own mood and atmosphere, right? This is slightly brighter, and this is, of course, more gloomy, okay? And the real pattern was broken from measure 23. Instead of 2 measures of the chordal or the chorale texture, the second time, and always the third time something different. The third time is loud. Yeah, and that's almost like the end of the first big phrase. Guess what's happening the next measure? I don't know how significant to you ears, but to me, we're changing from an entire minor section, C minor, the B flat minor, A flat minor with a C flat in it. Now it's A flat major, and just we change 1 note to the entire mood changes. Yeah, there's hope, right? There is hope in music and in life, and of course he put also pianissimo, so he doesn't quite want us to be celebrating yet, but it's almost like the tiny bit of light at the end of the very long tunnel. So we see that things will get better. Yeah, and from 39, also the first note is not, but go to the third. Yeah, 4 measure phrasing. And here, exactly the same harmonic progression, yet there is a very beautiful cello line in the left hand. There was a story of how Rachmaninoff was performing this in New York City, and there was like an old gentleman during this part. stood up and searched for things. And people ask him, what are you looking for? And he's like, I'm looking for the cellist. Where is the cellist? Right? Then of course it's Rachmaninoff playing the piano. I don't know if that's true, but I hope it's true, and I can certainly imagine how Rachmaninoff has the ability to do that. So how do we make this endless line, singing line like a cellist can do? Number one thing to pay attention is to respect that smaller note, because most often I would hear students performing or then you're basically breaking them into smaller pieces. That small note, we should use that smaller note as the bridge to connect the next measure. So we sing that more instead of sing it less. So it sounded like yeah. Similar examples I can give you here. I hear so many people play do, mi, do, instead of do, mi, do, la, so, si, so. Yeah, only if we sing the smaller note, it will help you to connect and achieve a much longer line. Okay, well, I have to stop here. This episode is already very long. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. I hopefully will finish this in another one or two episodes. And thank you for following my channel. In the next 2 or 3 months, we will be focusing on Schubert Impromptus Opus 90. See you next week.